Well, hello and welcome to Round Mountain Tai Chi. So here we are. It's the last posture. There's a lot to it. So we're going to split it into two sections just because in these videos, which I'm trying to keep to sort of less than 15 minutes, hopefully not too much of your day, there'd be too much to try and get really bedded in one go. So let's see. First things first, let's get to where we finished in the previous video, which was the push posture. So as ever, I'm going to take us through it the long way. We're just going to go through the form. And this is how a typical class would always start. We'd all come into the room, wait until everybody was there, and we'd go up to where we'd finished in the previous session. Maybe a couple of times, depending on how far through the form we were, just to make sure we've had a nice bit of practice. Of course, you'll be practicing every morning and every afternoon, every evening, maybe sometimes else. But anyway, let's make a start. So heels together, toes apart, arms loose by your sides, gazing off into the distance, just allowing your thoughts to settle again. And we sink all the weight down onto the right leg. Hands inflate in front of the thighs. Step out to the left. We transfer the weight onto that left leg. And then to square the waist up to the north, we pivot on the right heel. And we stand up, equalizing the weight. The arms rise, led up by the wrists. And then the fingers rise. The elbows sink as the hands come back. As the elbows go back a little more, the fingertips point to the ceiling or the sky or up. And then the hands come back down in front of the thighs. We sink, turn the weight and catch the moon. Transferring all the weight forward onto that right leg, we square the waist up toward the east. Turn the waist to the diagonal. Still holding the moon, we take our step. And our heel roughly where the toe was. We transfer the weight as the left hand rises and the right hand falls. As we get to that 60 to 70% mark, we can pivot on the right heel, turning into that left hip, into ward off left. All the weight now comes forward onto that left leg. Catching the moon once again. We turn the waist to the diagonal. We take our step. We transfer the weight as the right hand rises, left hand tracking it like a radar. Then we can turn into that right hip, into ward off right. Turning a little more into that right hip, the arms and the body following that movement. We then transfer all the weight back onto the left leg. Left hand points to the right elbow, right hand pointing up slightly forwards. We turn into that left hip. The arms are released as we start to move back forwards again, coming into press. We then shift all the weight back as the hands separate, as if holding a ball in front of us. And then as we come back forwards, the hands turn away. Okay. Notice I'm maintaining this idea of the beautiful lady's hand, being aspirational. Maybe one day. Okay. Again, we can do this, but I sometimes get flares of RSI, and doing that it can be uncomfortable as well. But this is the way that the professor would do the form. See images of him doing it various times throughout his life, and he always had this idea. But he could still push people properly if he needed to. Okay, so that has got up to push. Okay, so to get into there, again, we just turn our back foot out, step gently into our front foot, hands like this. So the hands are kind of opposite the elbow, opposite the armpits. Elbows are out slightly, so there's a bit of a gap in there. You know, we're not here and we're not here. You know, it's just elbows heavy, but there's a little bit of air in the armpits. Okay, so let's have a look at the whole posture first. Okay, so that is the entire posture of single whip. But in order to really get it settled into our minds, so we're not having to worry about all the ifs and buts and whys and wheres, we're going to split it in two. Okay, so to start off with, let's get into our push position. Okay, so we're here, like so. Okay, so first things first. All the weight comes back, and the arms just sort of drift behind you. Okay, so they're now they're sort of a bit more extended but level in front. We then turn into that left hip, sort of turning our waist toward the north. Now, you're going to have to listen to your own bodies here. Watch out for the knee. We don't want the knee going anywhere silly. It's got to stay over our toes. Okay, so if you come back, we're turning in to that hip. Try and avoid twisting the body. So just moving with the body. And we'll just allow this foot to sort of turn that little bit more. Try and see if we can get it pointing to the north. Okay. Then we're going to transfer the weight onto it and turn into the hip there. Okay, and we're doing this with the hands. That's where we're going to stop with this video. Okay, we're just going to go that far. So let's just break that down a bit more. So starting from a push, all the way back onto the left leg, arms just drift out. Turning into the left hip, the right foot points to the north. Then we're going to transfer all the weight and turn into the right hip, transferring all the weight onto the right leg there. And then my arms are doing something, and you're thinking, well, what's the arms doing? So let's just have a look. So I've got this thing here, the hook hand, it's sometimes called. Okay, we want to try and keep this relaxed. You will get people who will try and sort of put a bit of force in their fingers. You're trying to keep it nice and relaxed. Okay, but all it is you've got your thumb, and all the fingers are touching the end of your thumb. Okay, like so, and you just allow your wrist to hang. If you put your hand in a bucket of water, the drips would sort of all come off the bottom. Okay, and that's going to be up here in front of your solar plexus sort of area, and this is going to be underneath, accepting the raindrops, the drips, but it's not going to be cupping them. They are just going to end up drifting off. Okay, and it's down here in front of your dantian. I've mentioned that before, a couple inches below your navel, a few inches further back into your body. So it's like this sort of energetic center point, let's say. Okay, as a way of describing it. So that's all we're doing. So we're going from here, they're going to drift out a little bit, and then they're going to do this. Okay, so from the push, our arms will just extend out as we're going back, and they'll come to here. So let's do that with the movements of the body. So from our push posture, all the weight comes back onto the left leg. We're turning our waist into that left hip, turn the right foot so it's pointing to the north if we're able. And as we transfer and turn into the right hip, we're forming the hook with the hand catching the raindrops underneath. Okay? Now that is leaving us with a bit of tension in here. In the next posture, we will release that so that we can finish the posture. Okay? Let's go back to push. So all the way back onto the left leg. Turning into the left hip so our right foot can point to the north. Arms just follow the body. We then transfer all the weight onto the right leg, turning into the right hip, forming the hook, catching the raindrops. It's a bit like catching the ball, but this is now a hook. Okay? Once again. All the way back onto the left leg. Turning into that left hip. Transferring the weight, turning into the right hip, forming the hook with the hand underneath. Okay? So there we are. Single whip. Okay, part one. So, as always, go through this as often as you can. The more you do it, the more natural some of this stuff will start to feel, and you'll start getting into the flow of how things are moving. Okay, again, there's this idea, that is just like a natural way for, as the body's sort of going through the water or the treacle or whatever, that is it's sort of drifting up. So I'm not trying to do anything too elaborate. The more you do it, the more you get to kind of feel some of that sort of stuff going on. All right, so as ever, do all those video things you're supposed to do of liking, subscribing, sharing, please. I do plan on running a real class, but at the moment it doesn't seem the right time as of recording, so please bear with me. I will maybe try and do something else if this is going to continue on into the winter months. Again, based on the time of recording, we're at sort of mid-September-ish at the moment, but still blessed with a nice bit of weather, so good stuff. All right, so yeah, keep calm, keep practicing. Thank you for watching.